we have the man, the myth, the legend, the ICB Irish heavyweight champion, Keith Bluntforce Burke. How you doing, man?
What's the story? How are you, Joey? Thank you very much for having me, bro.
Good, good. Yeah, man. I mean, I heard about you through my promotion, ICL. You know, they were doing a little reporting about the fights, and what a fight it was, man. I mean, it was incredible. I mean, you got the win, and now you're a double champion. How does it feel to be a
Hang
double
on one
champion?
second.
Yeah, yeah. Ah, there
There you go.
it is. Let's go. Let's
Oh man,
go.
these what is it? Conor McGregor said a couple of years ago. I'm gonna put one belt on one shoulder, another belt on another shoulder, and you're gonna need a fucking army to take them off me.
A double champ does what he fucking wants.
Exactly, exactly.
Let's go, man. Yeah, I mean, so talk to me first about tattooing. So you grew up in Limerick, Ireland, correct?
Yeah, that is
And
true. So I've been a tattooer as my sole income maybe 5, 6 years. I learned to tattoo an awful lot longer than that. But when I was in college or whatever, I had my daughter who's now like almost 11. But when I came out of college, I wanted to get an apprenticeship and stuff, but they weren't paid at the time. So I had to get like a big boy job and work in what I was qualified in.
yeah.
So tattooing had to take a bit of a backseat until I was in a probably a bit more mature state, or like my personal life was more organized with like childcare and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. And I've had a few interviews recently, and one of the things we've talked about is just having that kind of balance between, not even just boxing, but doing your own, your own content creation, whether that's DJing, music, influencing, you have tattooing, which I think is so cool because that's not a, uh, a scene that's been tapped into in the crossover scene
Yeah.
yet. And then you brought that. So I think that's really cool. But it's really hard to balance that stuff. So do you find it very hard balancing all this together?
You know what? I'm a very all in kind of person. The last couple of years I've been all in with my tattoo career, a lot of traveling, a lot of conventions, like magazine coverage, all that kind of stuff. I got myself to a stage in tattooing where I was able to take a little bit of a step back. So like I was block booking like 4 days and then spending the other 3 days focusing on training and all that kind of stuff. So same thing with like the crossover boxing. Um, I'm treating every fight in every camp like I'm fighting for a WBC world title. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like I've been speaking to a couple of people in the scene over the last few weeks. I'm a massive fight fan. And for the respect of the sport of boxing, I think the sport deserves the respect to be treated in such. So like the amount of effort that we put in as athletes and influencers or crossover fighters, whatever name you want to put on it, um, we owe it to the integrity of boxing to put as much possible work in as we possibly can.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think there's a lot of people in the scene, unfortunately, that don't take it as seriously as what it should be taken. And
Yeah.
it's a very physical and very dangerous sport. So it's cool to see that there's people like you that are taking that step to honor, where boxing has come from
Yeah.
and put in that effort that, others are. And I wanted to talk because I was looking at the weigh-ins before your fight with Jake Castle, and you looked very hyped after that face-off, and you looked ready. So, is there something that you noticed from Jake when you guys faced off, or were you just ready to get in that ring?
I think it was a case of, even the week of like even fight week, like my final sparring session, maybe the Saturday previous to the fight, I really can't sit still as a person. I'm constantly going or whatever. Like I even did an extra session with my coach on the Wednesday of fight week, which is almost unheard of for boxing, whatever else, because you're kind of like, you're pulling the reins a small bit, trying to relax and calm down.
Yeah.
And I think it's just a case of I knew the event was sold out. I knew the majority of people that were going were obviously from the local area and I would have known them. There's obviously my clients, my friends, my family, my people who follow me on social media being there for me. So the pressure was very much on for me. I don't think I needed to be G'd up for the weigh-ins or for the fight, but I think from a psychological point of view for the sport, you can tell an awful lot about a man from the weigh-ins and the face-off.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
Yes.
So it was a case of like at the end of the day, we were going to fight. There was no beef. I have a lot of respect for Jake. Jake is a very strong opponent, very tough opponent. Hit me with like a lot of very, very good shots that probably would have put a lesser man away. And I mean, he's an MMA fighter. He's stepped into the cage multiple times. He's got a record. Like he's on ShareDog, he's on YouTube, all this kind of stuff. Now, obviously, he's ranked with the ICB as well as myself. So I knew it was going to be a tough fight, and I treated the 12 weeks of training that way because I knew it wasn't going to be an easy task to get him out of there. But it was a case of I was probably ready 3 weeks before the fight. So the weigh-in and I suppose, my emotional reaction was just like, right, okay, it's fucking finally here. Like, a kid on Christmas kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, I mean, I love personally seeing that kind of energy come from the fighters, especially in the scene, and that fight was absolutely incredible, and
Yeah, yeah.
I was surprised that like it ended in round two. It was a great shot that you were hitting him with. Were you expecting it to go down earlier, or were you expecting it to go all rounds?
If I'm gonna be brutally honest with you, which I have been in interviews since the fight, I genuinely thought it was gonna go the distance. So I trained for that just because I know how strong and durable and tough Jake is.
Yeah.
So I was expecting every possible outcome. We're in the middle of editing the after movie for the fight camp and the fight night for me with my videographer.
Oh,
I
awesome.
did call the shots that morning that I hit him with. So I knew I'd get him to the belly and come over the top of the right. I caught him with the first time and I was like, right, okay, cool. Got that. And then it was, if you watch back the fight and how it ended, it was that shot that lined up everything else.
Oh my, yeah, because it was incredible because you capitalized, you saw like your openings, and
Yeah.
it was awesome. Yeah, it was a spectacle to see, especially just having more Irish influencers and people like that, bringing those into the sport, because I think it's been a lot of mainly UK and USA. So having the UCC and ICB go over there as well is just really really cool. Is there any Irish influencers or anybody over there that you think is on the come up as well as you in terms of like
Well,
the crossover scene?
I think obviously my friend and UCC headman Ben Williams is going to be debuting in Misfits 012 in January in Leeds. So a couple of us will be there to support him. Obviously, I made sure that I would be there the morning after my fight. I sent like an open letter to Mams Taylor and was like, just letting you know, 2024, the Irish are coming. Uh, because my personal participation in this stems from me being at the Prime card. And I sat there and I watched Chase and Tempo fight. And I
Oh,
jokingly just said to the people I was with, I was like, sorry, in a group chat to the guys, I was like, I could fucking do this. And then they were like, well, do it then. And then the opportunity, I knew the UCC was being worked on behind the scenes. So I reached out to Ben, who I know personally, and he was like, absolutely. So obviously from the fight promotion we put together for the UCC and me personally, then obviously the ICB came involved and all that kind of stuff. And even last week or the week before last, I'm not too sure which one it was, I signed with TNT Promotions in America. Um, and we're just basically, me and Steven now from TNT are working on a path. Because I think my end goal is I want to fight on Misfits because I feel like that's like, if it's a video game, that's the final boss kind of,
yeah.
especially because I'm Irish and a lot of the cards happen in the UK.
Yeah.
I feel like if you had a Misfits card, whether it be here in Dublin, like KingPyn did, or you had a card in Manchester or Wembley or whatever else, and you got me and Ben on a Misfits card, we would bring a fucking Irish army over to support us. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So I think obviously Ben is one. I think we need to mention, and obviously he's on the Misfits card. He's fought in crypto and fought in other organizations. He's a great fighter. I think there's a guy, Wheelo, who won on the UCC
Ah,
card as well.
yes. Yeah.
Uh, Probably one of the most entertaining people you'll ever meet in your entire life. Um, I think obviously he had a good win against Mark O'Neill, who I know as well. But I think Wheelo is such a funny, polarizing character that he would put asses in seats. He's the
Oh yeah.
definition of somebody who would they tune in to see you knock out someone or tune in to see you get knocked out. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Um, so that's definitely those two guys. Obviously, Ben's there now, but I think Wheelo would be a great fit for the Misfits. He's in around that like middleweight, super middleweight range. There's a lot of good fights there. I mean, I
Yeah,
also think from a UCC point of view, there's guys on the ICB rankings in the UK and North America that we could definitely get over to a UCC card as well, co-main event, main event.
absolutely. Yeah, I actually wanted to bring that up because I've been working with IFL for a little bit now, and I've been working on a few concept posters and stuff, and
Yeah, yeah.
I had created. I was thinking, I was like, because there I'm interviewing another heavyweight later today named Bobby Laing. He's a rough and rowdy champion, and I was
Cool.
like, I was like, imagine he fights the North American heavyweight champion, and then him and
Yeah.
Burke fight each other
Yeah, yeah.
for whoever fights Papi Luisto, who has the international
Yes,
heavyweight champion.
exactly.
So it's like I love thinking of these things because I don't think a lot of people are very focused on Misfits, but there's also a lot of people outside that are
Of
trying to get
course.
to there. So
And that's even like when I was having my initial meeting with Stephen from TNT, because of tattooing, I have a business visa for North America. So
oh
I can travel to and from America for the next 10 years. So these fights can be made. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then obviously Americans can come to Ireland every single day of the week. So there's no reason or roadblocks for these fights not to happen. Briefly spoken, I pinpointed DW Flame, obviously who has a belt.
yeah,
Uh, Nick Nack was also mentioned in the conversation. And to be fair, I mean, I think I landed what 16th on the ICB rankings just that got posted. So I mean, 1 to 15,
yeah.
literally. I'm to be fair, I'm back in the gym today. I trained the whole way through Christmas. I've only added 7 pounds since my weigh-in, so I survived Christmas and didn't become a fat fuck, which is great. Um, and
Yeah, I
now I'm
saw your
just, you
tweet
know
about
what?
that.
I
Yeah,
I tweeted and Instagrammed TNT and was like, all I want for Christmas is a fight day. You know, because
I love it, man.
it's and I threw my name in the hat for IFL, threw my name in the hat for hype boxing, and I do strongly think that, especially from the smaller creator audience, that like I put myself in those guys' shoes because although through my tattooing and creating content for tattooing or whatever else, on the grand scheme of things, crossover wise, I'm very, very new to the scene. So it's like, that's why, I want to have these conversations with you or the guys from Outcast and things like that to be like,
Yeah.
I really appreciate the support from the guys who are on the up, like the same as myself.
Yeah, yeah, of course. And like that's what I love to do about these interviews too, is because there's a lot of these fighters on the smaller, promotions as well that don't have these interviews or don't have these kind of like ways to kind of, show who they are as, fighters or more insight. So that's what I love. Like I wanted to do this as well because I feel like you deserve a lot of recognition for that fight and for what you've been doing. So I appreciate it again for you coming on and I wanted to talk about, how did you guys connect, you and TNT in terms of getting signed with them?
So I think to be fair, a lot of that was down to I went heavy on the promotion for the UCC. I vlogged everything, I made reels, you know what I mean? I have a lot of content that I want to make into long form, but for the simple reason is I'm outside of boxing, I'm a busy tattooer, so it's just trying to find the time. Obviously I have a videographer and photographer, but I'm a bit of a control freak when it comes to my content, so I want to actually make it myself, you
Yeah,
know. So it's just about finding the time for that. But I went heavy on that. Then obviously when the ICB and Michael and stuff took notice, I think those guys were just sharing me a lot. And then I just kind of came down to following a lot of ICB fighters, Misfits fighters, like connecting with them through social media. And then I think I had reached out to IFL after, was it IFL 7?
yeah, that was the
And
most
I
recent one.
Yeah, and I'd filled out the form with the management to basically say, these are all my details. I'm willing to come over and fight, whatever. Um, and then obviously I heard from Stephen just before my fight, and he just wrote back and said, let's see how Saturday goes. And I was like, cool. I was like, I'll speak to you Sunday. And then that was it. The rest of it's history. We got on the phone similar to this. We had an hour-long conversation about what his goals were, what he thought I could do, and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go moving forward. And it was he had said stuff in the conversation that I had previously mentioned to friends and family about what I thought I could do in this sport, in this space.
Wow.
And when we were on the phone, I caught myself smiling because I was like, "Shit, he's in my head. He knows what I need. He's saying the things I need to hear him say." Um, he sent over the contract. I sent it to my coach, who's a former IBO WBC champion, and to a couple more people like like solicitors, accountants, stuff like that. Just double check it, because I would get super hyped and then like skim read shit. So I wanted to get my whole crew and whole team to have a look at it, and then they were like, "Yeah, absolutely, it's a great opportunity." So signed it, and then sat in the kitchen of my house that night, just being like, it didn't feel real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah, I when I got signed to the IFL, it just didn't feel real. Like for
Yeah, yeah,
when it got announced, it was wild. But yeah, dude, I think it's awesome because you're also, you're in, a promotion next to other ICB champions. You got Carlos Jimenez and the USASaiyan, and which
yeah, yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited for both of them to fight again as well. And you know, I think, bringing the Irish, scene over to America would be awesome as well. And I think, a lot of people want more diversity in this scene,
Yeah,
and not even just where you're from, but, your background of tattooing as well.
yeah, yeah,
We have YouTubers, we have TikTokers, we have Instagrammers, but, and OnlyFans people. Um,
yeah, yeah.
but it's just it's cool to see like those like just so many different kinds of things like coming into the scene, and that's what I love about
Absolutely.
it being called crossover boxing now instead of just influencer boxing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's
man.
also there was talk of an IFL card or maybe a hype card in and around March time. So I was like,
Yeah.
Stephen, I don't know if you know this. I was like, but March is St. Patrick's Day. I was like, you get an Irish guy in one of those cards around St. Patrick's Day, it's gonna be sold out with drunk Irish people.
Oh my gosh, that is perfect. That is
Yeah.
literally perfect.
So
Oh
I
my
got a lot of,
gosh.
I got a lot of family on the West Coast as well, in Denver and in San Diego. So I was like, they'll fly out for the fight and bring everyone with them too. So
That's awesome. That is so awesome. Well, I have to get ready for another interview real quick, but I did want to ask you something. One last thing. If there's any opponents out there that you wanted to call out right now, who is it?
do you know what? I was asked this on an interview yesterday as well. I find it very hard to have beef with people or to call people out if we don't really have. There's no animosity there. From a sporting point of view, anyone from 1 to 15 in the ICB rankings. I think
Take them all out.
I genuinely feel that if I have to fight 1 to 15, one after the other to prove myself, line them up. Just line them the fuck up.
Fuck yeah,
But
man.
more importantly, I want a fucking fight date.
Give this man a fight date. I want to see a fight. Man, I appreciate you coming on the show, and
No problem, bro.
hopefully I'll be able to see you fight, in person. I'm hoping I can go to the next type event, and I know I'm gonna be at the next IFL event. But dude, thank you so much for, coming on. It's been great getting to know about you and getting to talk to you, man.
Of course, man. I appreciate that. Thank you very much for your time, bro.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And have a great rest of your day. Keep killing it, man. And keep me updated whenever, that vlog comes out because I really
Of
like to
course,
watch that.
absolutely.
Yeah, man.
I
Appreciate
appreciate that,
it.
man. Happy New Year to you as well, bro.
Yeah, happy New Year, man.
I'll see you later, dude, right?
See ya. Thank you.